As the coronavirus spreads through South Africa, so does a feeling of despair. According to the country's happiness index, the severe travel restrictions, limited social gatherings and the closing of schools have caused happiness levels to drop to some unknown lows. Let's chat more about this now with co-author of the findings, Professor Talita Greling, a well-being economist from the University of Johannesburg. Talita, good evening, and thanks so much for your time. What an interesting topic, I suppose. So firstly, tell us what it is that you've actually found in the study.
Good evening, and thank you for the invitation. Well, what we found is that the happiness index has dropped statistically significantly in the last few days, especially yesterday after the announcement of the president. So definitely initially we saw that the South Africans were not that concerned, and since Tuesday we really saw a very big negative effect in the happiness index.
Okay, so can you explain to us how you carried out the study? What did you look at? Who did you speak to? What questions did you ask? How do you determine something like this?
Well, this is quite a new methodological approach to creating an index. And in this case, we're using big data, also called organic data. And we extract tweets from the Twitter. And each of these tweets, we actually analyze the sentiment. And from the sentiment, we get a sentiment score, which is then put through an algorithm. And from the algorithm, we derive a happiness index. So it's not something where you actually do a survey. It's physically using big data, which is where we're going to go to in the future for any economic data. So this is quite a step into the future.
So what were the words or terms you were looking for? What were you looking for when you read somebody's tweet to determine how they were feeling?
Well, what we use is sentiment analysis. So we're not looking for a specific word. We read the whole sentence, and then we use very, very sophisticated lexicons, which actually then interpret the sentiment of that whole sentence, because words can be misleading. I mean, you can use words and it in a different context. But if you look at a whole sentence, you can pick up the correct sentiment.
Okay, so I'm guessing that this is some sort of emotion analysis. What is the strongest emotion that you picked up?
Well, this is an add-on to the happiness index, where we actually started analyzing the emotions within these tweets. So this is an additional analysis. And the sentiment we picked up the strongest sentiment was fear, which is understandable because it's something new. It's not something we're used to, something that happens the first time globally. People don't know how to react to it. And in the tweets and what the people say, you pick up a lot of fear, insecurities, uncertainty about what the future will hold.
And I suppose a lot of question out there, Talita, or what a lot of people are feeling is, can we trust our government that they know what they're doing, that we know what authorities are doing, that the rest of South Africans are doing? Are they taking all the precautions we've been asked to take? So did you pick up emotion and sentiment around that?
Very interesting. That was the second highest emotion that we picked up, which was surprising initially, thinking trust. I mean, how can that be the second highest? And it's exactly what you said there. When we read it, the trust was first positive trust. Yes, we are so glad about the action the government took, and President Ramaphosa really putting in strict regulations. And on the other hand, the negative trust. Still, some people said, can the government pull this off? All the regulations are there, but can we trust them? Has enough been done? Then we also found people that still don't believe coronavirus is a serious issue. You can't believe it, but they're asking, isn't it just something that somebody made up? And then the other side of the trust were religious side, where people say, pray and God will look after us. So those were the trust elements we picked up.
And was there a certain degree of optimism that you picked up? Are people hopeful? I mean, we haven't had deaths yet, so that must count for something.
On the emotional side, not really. I can't say that there's much optimism. The only optimism we actually picked up is on the trust side, and that's with a very heavy religious undertone.
All right, so Talita, I mean, if the trends and the graphs that I see in front of me were to continue the way they are we likely to see what happening in the next couple of weeks then?
It's very difficult to predict because we are running on tweets that were made, it's historically, and as it's a very new methodology, we don't have the measures that we use with regression analysis or econometrics to actually do estimations yet. But if we just think of common sense, and if we can use that and theoretically based, anytime you have a shock in the economy, and this is what it is, it's a shock, you will find that the jitters or the movement in the market is big initially, and then as time continues, it eases up. So as people start to accept it, they can see that there's a plan, something is happening, then you will find that probably it will go back to normal levels, around about 6.4, where we normally see the happiness index.
Now, Talita, we've spoken before, so I know that you do these sort of, not survey, but you look into this a lot, especially around certain events, one of them being, xenophobia as well in the past. Now, just from all the times you've done this, is this the unhappiest and the most fearful that you've seen South Africans?
We are at similar levels that we were on the 1st, 2nd, 3rd of September with the xenophobia attacks. So very similar levels, around about 5.8. So really the lowest points in the South African, I can't say history because we have only been measuring it for a year, but since we introduced this measure, the lowest levels.
All right, thanks very much for that, Talita Kreling. Well, there you have it. We are unhappy at the moment, very low levels of happiness. We have some trust issues and fear being one of the strongest emotions coming out there related to coronavirus.